everybody for having me today. I think this marks over 10 years of being a part of the IoT Evolution show since the first time I've ever participated. And I'm even more excited to come because I come from the great north, so we love to come to South Florida. I've told Carl for many, many years, I'm happy to come, just keep it in Florida. So we'll always kind of work through that. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at GetWireless. If you're not familiar with us, we're a distributor. We work with technology from modems, routers, and gateways to embedded modules and designs. But today, what I really get to work on is I have the privilege of being our Chief Marketing Officer, and I also get to be what I consider a student of the industry, right? So I don't want to call myself an analyst because I feel like I'm a student really trying to continue to learn the technology. So I'm kind of a self-proclaimed student. But on my bucket list for a long time is to talk more about what is provided in this technology and really what is that journey towards wireless, right? In wireless technology, we talk a lot about the technology, we talk about the evolution of the technology. We've done I've done plenty of speaking engagements. What's the transition from 3G to 4G to 5G? What's the opportunity? How do we make money? How do we save money? How do we create business processes, right? These are all things that we talk about every day. They're very relevant. They're very much so. We hear about the applications. But I do think there's a new way to look at it. And that's what I'm going to challenge everybody today. So I'm going to challenge us and take a journey that's a little bit more meaningful to me. A journey around looking at the industry, looking at where we're creating meaningful applications. And I think it's fitting because it's Valentine's Day, right? So again, we've seen these statistics. On average, there are 127 new devices connected to the internet every second. James was up here. He said billions. He said trillions, right? It's big. Is it all really moving the needle in what we're trying to do? That's the question that I'm trying to answer, and I want everybody to think about. If you come away with anything today, let's think about that. So let's take one quick step back, right, and think about where have we come? And that, the concept of IoT was really first introduced in the 1980s by a bunch of researchers at Carnegie Mellon University that connected the first Coca-Cola vending machine. So that's where we started, right? We came into this evolution and saw the emergence of M2M, right? I remember that being a part of that. You're looking at, wow, these devices are now connected to each other, right? And here we are now, right, in this technology of smart everything, connected everything, right? When we look at that, right, we can really get sucked into that and understand that what are we trying to do? What is IoT? If you had to explain it to somebody, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But how many of you are on social media, right? You should be in some ways. How many get sucked into listening to those reels, or you lay in bed and you kind of scroll through and listen to those reels, right? Have anybody looked up IoT? Okay. So if you said to social media, what is IoT?
Imagine you live in a house where you wake up early in the morning and your coffee is made, you go downstairs, the lights are on, you sit down to drink your coffee, and the TV turns on. All of this happens without you even single-handedly lifting anything or moving. This is what is called the Internet of Things.
I'm not sure about this, right? Let's all laugh for a moment. This guy's even more funny, right? I was giggling. My husband's like, what are you laughing at? Like, you wouldn't understand. But if you look at these technology, the things that these people say, it is somewhat alarming. And now we're going to see if we have technology.
If you're building a new home, ask your builder if they can do this. Hey, Alexa, tell Moen to give me exactly 1 cup of water.
Do you guys all struggle to measure 1 cup of water? Right? Like, I'm not dissing Moen. They're a great company, great products. But is this what we do every day? Is this what we want to tell people about? Then
so
this
your
one
smart
makes me laugh even
underwear
more.
could automatically connect to your smart thermostat, and you wouldn't even need to think about adjusting the temperature in your house.
So again, we talk about smart technology, right? We talk about smart refrigerators. I think we've all walked by and we see, what is that going to tell me? Oh, it's going to tell me that I'm out of milk, or it's going to tell me I need to change the filter. Again, that's fine. But is that really what we're all trying to accomplish? Is that what technology is doing the best of? And again, you look back, he's laughing, is everybody's walked by this smart toilet at your local Home Depot. What is that going to tell you, right? Let's think about this and let's move towards a more meaningful perspective. So I want to share a little bit of some of those stories. But one of the things that I read in this is really one of the definitions that's out there says the interconnectedness characterized at the essence of IoT is a world around to enhance efficiency and convenience. And again, as I stand here as a business professional, we talk about make money, save money, create a new business process, create efficiencies. It's great. I don't know that I agree with efficiency and convenience, right? It's this is we want to enable laziness and fat people, right? That's not what we're trying to do either. There's so many more meaningful things that we can do. So every day as we're developing and working on this technology, that's what I'm trying to get to. So today I'll start, and I'll kind of tell a bunch of stories today. The first one I want to talk about is everybody's had that question where you go to a social engagement and they say, what do you do for work? And you're like, well, this is hard to explain, right? If it's grandma, you tell her one story. If it's the guys at the bar, you tell them a different story. But I had a neighbor that I just met, and he said, I said, how was your day? He said, it's really frustrating. Again, he's wearing a full brown uniform. And he says, it's very frustrating. They put all this technology in my truck. Every time I go to a stop now, it takes me 3 times as long because they have all this tracking on me that tells how many times I open and close the back of the truck. And I was late to pick up my kids because my day took twice as long, and I don't even dare stop and eat lunch, right? And I'm thinking, this is super cool. Hasn't anybody seen this? This is in the news, right? This is 90s. This has been going on for a while. They were one of the first innovators. Again, is this an example of what we do? Yeah. Did I give this example to him that day? No. I changed the subject very quickly, right? But it is an example. Is this something we can do? Yes. Is it meaningful? In some ways, yes. But I want to take us even to that further perspective. And thankfully, my journey continues. So one of the things that I read, as you read, is at the heart of IoT lies the concept of connectivity. It's about that connectivity, that connectiveness. What is bringing those together? And that's one of the principles that we work really closely at GetWireless is offering that connection technology. But what I want to look at is this quality, and there's this idea of quality of life and quantity of life. Let's talk a lot about quantity of life, because we can make our lives better, we can make it easier, right? There's lots of ways to make your life easier. But let's look at what are some of these meaningful applications. So I wanted to ask, this is how old I am. Anybody that recognizes what that sound is where I started my technology career. And you say, well, how did you get started in technology? You went to design school. I had aspirations to own a bridal shop, and I was going to be the creative girl. But this is where I started. So again, as you look at that, there are a lot of applications that I worked on, right? Applications for ATM machines, fax machines, printers. And then we turned evolution into wireless. We turned to Bluetooth, we turned to Wi-Fi, right? And then we evolved into cellular. But as I started my journey of selling in the analog modem space, I had a very specific customer journey, and I call it my modem customer, my modem journey. So it really evolved for me over a decade ago. So a poster child company that started as my analog customer evolved for over a decade into wireless, and then that technology hit my home. So as we look at this technology, so I'm just gonna skip over here, sorry. I received a call, so over 500,000 Americans die each year from cardiac arrest. One day I received that call. My father was in the hospital suffering a heart attack. The waiting was intense, the diagnosis wasn't known, time was clicking by. Then we received the news, right? He's gonna be okay, right? However, his life will forever be changed, and his lifestyle will change immediately. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And again, I'm not good at medical stuff, never could have been a doctor in my entire life, so I listened to only what I need to know at that point. They said, this will include a new wearable defibrillator technology. It's a new wireless technology that will allow him to wear that. And in this product is a device that's designed to protect patients at the risk of cardiac death. A product that was a customer of mine that started my modem journey and literally it hit home. The product is now produced by one of the largest medical device manufacturers in the world, but when I started my modem journey, I sold them analog modems. Then we sold them Bluetooth modems, Wi-Fi modems, cellular modems. I knew their technology, I knew their challenges, I thought I knew their impacts. I remember going into their office and they had a screen and it updated in real time every time they saved a life. It was amazing to me. I felt like, and I mean, this receptionist even was like so proud of it. It was super cool, and it really gave me that feeling. But that scoreboard is forever even more ingrained in my mind of what that looked like now, right? As this was the power for them to save a life, but again, something that was very meaningful to me. So you talk about coming full circle into something you worked on for over 10 to 15 years, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not in the medical industry, but to be able to, this was an example, when somebody says, what do you do, or what is IoT, this is the kind of example that we all want to tell. So there's also, on that same note, just want to share, I thought it was really cool to share, is that, there's new tools. Research at University of Wisconsin Washington have found out that there's ways that a smart speaker can actually turn into a cardiac monitoring system. It's very interesting, right? You think about that and you're like, they're always listening, which is somewhat scary. You think about it, we talk about something, it shows up on your phone. I get it, that's right. However, because they're always listening, there is an opportunity where those devices may be able to tell the breathing patterns and changes in breathing to detect possible heart attack, or cardiac event, or agnal breathing. So it's a really interesting time as we look at what is meaningful, and does that make the technology that was done so we can say, Alexa, play this? That's great, but what is it gonna now evolve to something to save lives and be meaningful? Again, even your Apple Watch, the journey that's taken here from amount of heart monitoring technology. Again, really that is leading us in that path of meaningfulness and thinking about what that looks like. Diabetes is another major epidemic that we see in the United States, and globally as well. But how many of these people know at least one person that has diabetes or is affected by it? I mean, it's almost 9% of the US population has been diagnosed, right? There is, in order to help these people, right, we know there's a lot of technology, there's been a lot of evolution here, but what's changing, right, is there's an evolution of technology that will help them with their independent lives between monitors and wearables and all of those things. However, there's also these apps that go with them, and IoT, AI, and machine learning will enable diabetes alert systems to automatically tell others if you're having a potential blood sugar level issue. Right? So not only being able to monitor yourself, but maybe being able to be in that caregiver environment. You think about how do people around you manage and deal with deal with your illness. Again, things that are meaningful, things that are changing what we do. Epilepsy is another one. There's a high-tech bracelet that was created by researchers in the Netherlands that can detect 85% of epileptic seizures that occur during the night. So as you look at this and say, is this the kind of technology that we're seeing that's really moving the needle? Again, I could go on and on medical technology, and we'll talk more about. I want to share one particular case and dig in a little bit. We know that breast cancer is a major topic in a lot of a lot of our world, right? It's the most common cancer in the world in the United States, not just for women, but for men as well. It accounts for about 1 in 3 of all female cancers. And over 310,000 new cases will be diagnosed this year, and 42,000 women will die from breast cancer. This is, I look at it, the American Cancer Society is working really close. We all believe in the power of pink. We all know there's research. But you know what else there is? There's technology. And there's companies that are working through that. There's a new technology emerging for cancer detection. Uses thermal mapping, artificial intelligence to examine the breast in a non-invasive and pain-free way. No, this is a weird topic. I'm one of the few women up here on this stage, but it's very interesting, and I want to share, again, I don't have any affiliation to these companies, but I want to share what they're doing.
Worldwide, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer throughout their lives. But when you catch it early, you have a 95% survival rate. And we're helping women by giving them a tool that they can use to maybe catch cancer at early stages. Women below the age of 40 are completely neglected from breast cancer screening guidelines. Young women cannot have mammograms because of the radiation exposure. So EVA is filling that particular gap by being a device that can be used at home and emit no radiation. This is the latest prototype, textile-wise, of our device. EVA is used as any type of bra. You put it on, you wait for 5 minutes. Inside it, you have sensors that map the surface temperature of the breast. After that, you take it off, and the data is sent to the cloud. And if we see an abnormal hot spot or a cold spot in the breast, our machine learning and artificial intelligence algorithms can differentiate between a healthy patient and a woman with high probability of having cancer. 20% of the women we screen in our clinic have a positive result, which means there's an abnormality in the breast.
So now that I made everybody a little bit uncomfortable, it is a topic, it's interesting. You look at that technology, you look at the things that are being done, the things that are being done by companies like us. So again, I want to transition away from that. We could go all day on medical applications, there's a lot. As I look back in my journey, and you look at this at my career, you look at the timing over the last 20 plus years, there's another monumental thing that has happened. And unfortunately, out of tragedy, we were able to look at our public safety networks and change and evolve. So, I think that is, if you look at kind of milestones and things that we'll talk about in the future. I'm not going to play this video. If you haven't seen it, it's done by the Transportation Security Administration. It's a great video, talks a lot about the communication, which is very enlightening to when you think about the tragedies of 9/11. So if you look at the tragedies of 9/11, it revealed fundamental problems in our communication system. That same communication that we sell technology for, right? The radios that they relied on for police, fire, and paramedics didn't easily operate. There was lots and lots of struggles to communicate with each other. There was lots of, these are our public safety professionals. There's also people that were trapped. As a result of these challenges, some of you may or may not know, right, the commission report recommended establishing a nationwide dedicated public safety communication network. So for those of you, again, I think as you look at that, that recommendation went before Congress and for their own broadband network. One that would serve our first responders' unique communications need. They advocated for the network to have interoperability, innovation to communicate with each other through disasters, large events, or everyday emergencies. As a result, a law passed $7 billion in broadband spectrum to establish a network for the nation's public safety. So for those of you, there's the FirstNet Authority, the FirstNet Network. Again, you think about the evolution of what we've seen in this time period, this is monumental, right? And I'm not going to speak just to the fact that we've seen this in the FirstNet community, but in what happened with the evolution of FirstNet, all of our operator partners have stepped up, right? We're looking at things like priority and preemption in the network. We're looking at what evolution needs to happen to be able to solve what happened here that day. How do we evolve our network? How do we evolve our devices? We had the privilege at GetWireless to have one of the FirstNet-enabled routers on our portfolio. Again, things like that. All of the companies that are participating, that are building devices to work in public sector, work in public safety, to improve that communication. I dare to say we've witnessed one of the single most tragedies, at least in my lifetime so far. It's something that we will tell our grandkids about, but there's also an evolution of communication technology that came from it that is meaningful. And I don't think we'll find anything that's more meaningful. On that same note, I wanted to share a success about a company that is working really closely to eliminate crime, right? Their slogan's super simple. There's a lot of security conferences, there's lots of security applications. We heard about security in routers earlier, we hear about security in lots of different ways. But when I talk about security, I'm talking about our safety, right? But if you look at this company, they build license plate recognition cameras, audio detection, so we'll just say what it is, gunshot detection, and video camera technology, right? Great application, tremendous amount of technology that's built. They pair that audio detection with their license plate recognition systems and cameras to transform when a shots fired situation comes up. It's crazy, the difference in the ability that they have to solve gun-related crimes, right? Wherever you stand on the spectrum of that, gun-related crimes is a situation that they're being able to go into almost 4,000 communities and help with. Their technology is trusted across, I think it's 3,700, almost 4,000 communities. So we'll just hear what they have to say.
Our old way of doing police work is we've got a problem in this area, and we just flood it with, let's say, officers, and we enforce every crime that we come across, trying to solve that problem. So through the use of technology, we can be more, use precision policing and be specific and know we have the right vehicle or the right person.
Right now, it's been successful beyond what our wildest dreams were.
So it's exciting to me. We get to work with them. The technology is super cool. I mean, again, you look at it and see they're doing multiple different ways that are coming together to solve a simple problem. What was even more interesting to me, and this will transition me into my last kind of segment, is their technology did something they didn't even know and expect, right? So the flock cameras led to the recovery of a missing Nebraska child. So the flock system, best known for locating stolen cars, a vehicle passed a flock safety camera. The flock camera used artificial intelligence to automatically scan the vehicle license plates, log their information, and it triggered a missing person national crime hit. Deputies then located the vehicle, initiated a traffic, and saved the life of a child. So these are the things that even what their intention was is making a difference in ways that they didn't expect. So as we talk about our children, again, I don't think there's anything, we talk about humanity, we talk about how do we extend quantity of life, right? What is more valuable in our world than our children, right? Enabling school safety is another topic, and we look at how do we all participate in this room. There's lots of technology. And we'll talk about that. If you haven't seen the PSA video that was done by the Sandy Hook Foundation, it's triggering. I'm not gonna lie, if you're a parent, it's triggering. But this is a fear we all have. It's a fear I have from my children in school. But I'm gonna just share a little clip that speaks to the point of what I see in technology, but the rest of it, you should go watch on your own.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
In 2022, there were 46 school shootings, which marked the highest number of incidents since the tragedy at Columbine. So in accordance with the guidelines set by Safer Buildings, location accuracy from inside a building, from placing a mobile call, is proven to be one of the fastest ways to combat a situation like this and to locate where those individuals are. There's controversy, right? You can Google this, read on the internet. Should kids have phones in school? Should kids not? Should staff have phones? Should staff not? Again, as a technologist, and as a mom, my kids have worn bracelets since they were 4 years old. Like, I understand the technology, I see the benefit. I've watched kids be dropped off at the wrong school, rode the wrong bus home. I believe in the safety of our children, I believe in the technology of this. I understand the impacts that screens can have, but I do advocate in this direction. And especially as you look at this as a huge problem we're seeing. So we're all developing a lot of technology that can go into buildings, right? And a school is no different than a hospital, a church, big buildings where larger amounts of people gather. And this is a perfect scenario where we can help impact that use of technology, making sure devices are tested and true to be in those buildings. And in particular, how can we make sure that all of those buildings have the proper technology? So in this scenario, where a student is students or staff are instructed to shelter in place, they must be able to call 911 to communicate their location. I'm gonna share one more company. It talks about their use of 911, and it's very impactful
We take
to
all
me.
of the police, fire, and EMS emergency and non-emergency calls for the entire county.
Seconds save lives.
Seconds and minutes can make a huge difference. A lot can happen.
The data we get from Rapid SOS ready devices is life-saving.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up on my map. Are you injured?
Rapid SOS, to me, it's like another brain. I can know where my emergency is even before the emergency comes in.
It's one of the main tools that we use.
Rapid SOS understands what we do and the necessity of being efficient and timely.
There's no other software like it.
I make sure my children's devices are Rapid SOS ready, and I would suggest that everyone does.
It's extremely comforting to know that Rapid SOS is there for my.
So I'm gonna stop because I know we're getting close on time, but we work with a company called Nextivity. They're based out of Southern California, and they're doing tremendous things with helping school districts make sure that their buildings have connectivity in them. There are a lot of organizations, GetWireless in particular, can help. We have integrators that help make buildings safer. Not only when you look at it from a student perspective, again, I see that as one of our most valuable humans, but there's also our public safety professionals that need to go into these buildings, right? There's mandates, there's technology that needs to make sure that if we put somebody wearing a device from a public safety agency into a building, that they have the ability to receive that communication that they need. So again, another great application here where maybe you don't call this IoT, but this is enabling IoT. This is meaningful ways that we can save lives and make a difference in technology. So that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions for me, we do have a booth over in the expo hall. We will be here for the entire week. And I would love to connect with you. If you have, if you have a story you want to tell me, you have a great opportunity, you just want to connect, you want to talk about what GetWireless does, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Come find me at the show. Again, love to talk with everybody and meet everybody. So thank you for your time today.